Hello, welcome back. Episode 3 of Art School. Again, thanks so much to everyone who's taken the time to send in their work, to ask some questions. We've had some amazing ones this week, so it should be a really good episode. As promised, I've started a series of drawing videos, how to draw. You can find those on my YouTube channel and I'll post a link below as well. If you've got any questions that you'd like me to try and find out the answer to, then email artschool@stuartsemple.com and I'll do my best. If you want to share your work with me, Instagram's probably the best place, and it's @StuartSemple and use the hashtag artschool. Or tweet at me @StuartSemple on Twitter. Right, now that's out of the way, let's dive into our first question that I've chosen today, and this is from Robin. And Robin says that he's currently studying, he's in his first year of his BA at UWE, and he says that he's got a few things he wants to ask about his work in general and the industry in general. He says he's interested in figurative painting and photography, and the application of analogue photography and the use of double exposures really interests him. And he's explored that during his foundation. However, now that he's on his BA course, he feels as though his ideas are either too shallow, they don't have enough depth to them, and it's making him question whether he should continue painting from such materials because he thinks it might be slightly cliche. And he goes on to ask if I've got any thoughts on the matter. And then he's asked to know a little bit about my experiences at art school and how I've come to pursue my own ambitions as an artist. And he shared this piece of work, which is one painting from a triptych that he did during his foundation. So, hi Robin, I'll have a go for you. First of all, it's a major stage and change in your life when you go from that cocoon, if you like, of a foundation course into higher education. And quite often, and I don't think this is just if you're an art student, it happens to me, it happens to a lot of people. Quite often you feel like you hit a wall with your practice, with what you're making, and you kind of like, you're praying for some sort of breakthrough or something different to happen. I mean, what I would say is you can't force that. You know, you kind of have to follow one thing into another. And I find when I get in that situation, what I do is I tend to kind of try and paint through it or make work through it. And eventually something does kind of happen. Dealing specifically with this double exposure thing, I totally get your point. I think particularly during that sort of foundation age, we start to play about with photography and things, and inevitably you do stumble across the double exposure, and it's interesting. But yeah, by far, I mean, it's not unique in any way, but does that really matter? And what impact does that have on painting? I mean, I think art history is useful. Have a look at Hockney again. He did a really good talk, actually, and you can find it on YouTube at the Getty Museum a couple of months ago. And he really hammers into this relationship between painting and photography. And I think maybe that will inspire you a lot. And I like the idea of a double exposure in as much as it juxtaposes two things together. What is it that really inspires you about that way of working? Or what is it about the double exposure and then utilising that in paint? Is it the trick of it that you can't really have these two things together in real life and overlay on top of something else? Is it just the ability to translate in paint something that was photographic, that stillness of it? Or is it about injecting some expression back into what was photographic? So, you know, I think you need to spend a bit of time with yourself really analysing why you find this so interesting. And maybe you can explore that passion a bit in your later work. I mean, also maybe just explore the process of painting and exploring different materials as well. I I mean, what I would say is the degree, this is your time to experiment. This is your time to take risks, take chances. When you end up in the big wide world and you have to make work for exhibitions and for deadlines or whatever, you don't have the ability to get it wrong. Make the most of this moment and just touch on everything. And really honestly, don't be scared to kind of put that work to one side and try something completely new, because you'll probably surprise yourself. My experience of art school was good. I did, in my day, we had what they called a GNVQ Advanced, which was what you did at 16. I left school and I went to art college. I actually went to Poole, and it was a great course because we did art history and we did life drawing, and we had a chance to try loads of different materials and media and processes over those 2 years. I went on to university to do my BA, and to be honest with you, it didn't really suit me. I had a lot of trouble with anxiety. I felt very homesick. I got ill, actually. I had a severe allergic reaction and I left university. But I carried on painting. I made work every day. I'd already done 2 years at art school anyway, so I was sort of ready for the big wide world, I think. But yeah, make the most of your course, talk to your friends, talk to your lecturers. It's still early days, and you will break through it. And please keep us posted on how you get on. We'd all love to see your work. Keep painting through it, keep working through it, and try and reconnect to what it was that really moved you and got you excited about this in the first place while you were doing the foundation. So let's have a look at some of the pictures that have been sent in on Instagram this week. Here's an amazing piece by Charlotte. I really love this one. I love the line and I love the watercolour work. It's really expressive, Charlotte. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Charlotte's actually gone on to make a whole Instagram profile dedicated to her drawings and the development of them. And you can find that painting.days on Instagram. I particularly like the way she's shown the progress of this Mickey Mouse drawing that she's made, starting with the initial wireframe and the shapes and evolving into fully fledged Mickey. So well done, Charlotte. That's absolutely brilliant. This piece I thought was really cool. It's by Not That Green Gentleman, again on Instagram, and it says things are shaping up to be pretty odd. I like the character of that. That's a lot of fun. Not That Green Gentleman, please join us in how to draw and draw along with us. I'd love to see how you get on with that. And if anybody else wants to share their Instagram work, then I'll feature it next week. Okay, back to the questions. This is really interesting, actually. This is something that a lot of people ask a lot. This is from John Salmon. Hi, John. Great question. So he sent in a couple of examples of his work, which are absolutely beautiful. They're small. They're about 9 by 5 in watercolour. So diddy little things. John's question is specifically about that, about the scale of works. He says he often feels that he should be painting on a much larger scale, and often wonders what others think of the size of artworks in the art business. So he's talking specifically about the art market and the art business here. And he says just as much thought goes into small works, and people can always find a little corner to tuck a picture in, even in the smallest room in their house. What are my thoughts about artwork size? He knows I paint really big. But do I value small works too? And do I create any small works? No, bigger isn't always better. The reason why I make big works is because I like getting my whole body into them. I like the physicality of making them. And I like the way on the wall they kind of engulf you. They take over your whole field of vision. Here's some photos of an exhibition I did a few years ago at the Truman Brewery. And you can see the scale of these things. They're almost like billboards. Here are some photos of my last show that I did in Los Angeles recently, and again you can get a sense of the scale of the works in the space. I suppose the other reason why I work big is I quite often make work for exhibitions. I know the exhibition's coming up and I've got a sense of the space and the scale of the gallery. Quite often I've got the floor plan and I kind of get a sense of what works are needed within that environment. So that's why I paint big. That and the fact when I was young, I saw a really big Jackson Pollock at the Tate, and it just had so much energy. It was just something that changed my life. I just got that sense of scale. I remember seeing a film there of him painting and how much of his body he got into, and it all looked like a lot of fun, and it kind of started there. John, your question is about the art market as well. No, big works are a nightmare. You have to crate them, you have to ship them, you need, you can't see it, but I've got a massive door downstairs. It's like, I don't know, maybe 5 meters tall to get the things in and out. The studio space you need, the amount of paint, the amount of canvas. Dealers hate them. They're a nightmare to sell. Who do you know who's got a 5 meter sized wall? I've got to tell you, some of the most intimate and powerful moments I've had with art has been with smaller works, actually. When they suck you in, you can get a kind of one-on-one interaction with a small work that you kind of can't with a big work. It's a different thing. It's hard to sort of say it in words. Besides which, they're really beautiful pieces, John, and I really just don't think you should even consider making anything any different, really. It's a waste of time. Why change? Don't change for anybody. Scale's got nothing to do with it. You can have a massive scale of ambition, a massive scale of idea, be able to hone that into a small space. That's a skill that I really admire. So, yeah, don't change what's good. And yeah, I've made smaller works. I was in a show, I think it was in California, Torrance Art Museum, called Polemically Small. Have a Google at that, because it was a series, I think it was something like 100 contemporary artists made tiny little works the size of a postage stamp. Very much about this concept, actually. How big can the idea be on such a small space, and does it matter? Did a little drawing of like a microchip because it's tiny but it changed the world. So that's our 2 big questions for today. If anybody else has got anything they want to ask, give me an email, artschool@stuartsemple.com, tweet at me @stuartsemple, or if you've got any work to share, then Instagram's a good place, #artschool@stuartsemple. If you want to learn to draw with me, the first episode of How to Draw is on my YouTube channel. Hop over there and join in. I'll be interested to see what you make of that. Otherwise, just have an awesome week, and here if you need me, and I guess I'll see you next time. Bye everyone!